Hi guys, welcome to the Rake. We have a very special episode today with the one and only Spraggy.
You all right? Hi.
If you don't follow us on social media, we are engaged. Aww. So we thought we'd have Spraggy on well, first of all, we wanted to get an update on you. How are you doing?
Well, I've never been better, obviously, for obvious reasons. Stream's going very well. Poker's going okay. Personal life's, thereabouts. Mm. And I get to be on the Rake this week with the wonderful Jamie Kerstetter.
Yes.
And yeah, I'm excited to be back. Second appearance.
Yeah.
Do you have many double appearing guests, or would I be the first?
Is he the first? I think he's the first one. Oh no, Mac was on to talk about Postle a couple times.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And Veronica as well.
Two smart, insightful guests, and then me.
And then you. Okay. So I'm a little bit upset. I have a little bit of a bone to pick with you. I received no call, no text message, nothing, asking for my blessings to ask Marle to marry you. And I feel like I've been her podmate for a year. I feel like I have been overlooked, and I don't know if I would have said okay.
It's a little bit disrespectful, isn't it? I can only apologize. What's worse is, as much as you joke, Jamie Kerstetter, I couldn't get hold of her dad. I couldn't get.
Oh, really?
I know you had Gary on the pod, the legend, and I had his number in my phone. So I was thinking about doing it, obviously asking Marle to marry me, and it was coming up, and I thought, well, of course I'm going to have to, or I would like to speak to Gary first. I'm sure it's a little bit old school, traditional, but I thought it would be nice to speak to Gary first. So I'm there thinking, I've got his number. Once everything's set in place, because I also then didn't want to ring him and say it was going to happen, and then I couldn't get hold of a ring in time, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
My mind, because
I did something stupid again.
Exactly. But eventually I decided, no, we're probably going to go ahead. I'll ring Gary. Look through my phone, realize my phone bricked just before we came to Ireland. I don't have his number. So, and I couldn't very well say to Marle, do you have Gary's number? I'll just ring him, looking to catch up or something. It's pretty obvious what's going on if I need to contact her dad. I decided to leave it, but of course Gary was very happy after the fact. But yeah, neither you nor Marle's dad got a message, which I do feel a bit better about. I do feel better.
So tell the viewers how you did it, how the engagement go down.
I can't possibly go into it because I'm ruined if the good people of the internet find out. Okay, so I actually had, I think quite like Marle likes I don't think a grand gesture sort of thing. We're both quite sort of matter-of-fact people. Mm-hmm. So I saw a nice park, quiet park.
Well, it's also like lockdown.
It's lockdown in Ireland here, so we can't go restaurants. There's nothing like that planned. Mm-hmm. Like shops open. In order to get a ring, I had to.
He got this very sweet ring. It's like a little promise ring, and I think it's so sweet. So yeah. It's
basically a placeholder ring because I didn't want to go and get a ring. It's something that Marle's going to have to wear for the rest of her life. Fingers crossed. And then it's rubbish. You don't want something then that's proper rubbish. And
and then she'll feel guilty and have to wear it every day and look at it every day being like, this guy has the worst taste ever.
Yeah, a reminder of a presumably failing marriage by that point. It's a tattoo ring. So so I got hold of this ring, which is just like a placeholder ring. I thought a nice park, and I worked with FINTAN and Hannah. So Fintan parked his car nearby with champagne in and some picnic stuff in and a hot water bottle and a blanket and everything. So my plan was go to the park, ask Marle to marry me. She says yes. Go to the car, pick up champagne, picnic, sit out in the park, whatnot. So we get to the park, which I was told was a nice, quiet park. And it's locked down in Dublin, so I thought no one would be around. That's ideal. Get there. Sports in Dublin doesn't count for level 5 lockdown. So the park is as busy as any park with kids playing under 15 football or whatever it is, and all the parents there and dog walkers. But I was promised there was a little riverside walk if you cut off down the right. So we cut off down the right. And by this point, Marle as well she's always asking questions and she's always skeptical. So it's hard enough for me to be like, we'll just go for a walk, shall we? We'll just go to the park. And
I'm why are we here?
She's already what's going on? So I start walking down this riverside bit, down the canal path, and there's people ahead of me, and then being the scout that I am, I'm looking over my shoulder. Then there's a group of 3 or 4 behind me, So I'm thinking, if I now stop in the middle of the path down on my one knee, they're going to sort of bump into us and be like, either can we get round, which is going to kind of like ruin things a bit, or that worse than that, they're going to stop and like, oh, congratulations, or like, you know, like, and I don't want any fuss. So I bottle it at that point. I'm like, all right, forget the towpath. We'll come back out and get out into sort of a more open area. Got out of the towpath. There's some sort of farmer's market or takeaway food thing, which had the most, everyone in Dublin, that's presumably the only place in the whole of the city that's open because there's like 300 people there. So now I'm starting to panic, and I'm just, I see like a tree by a pond, so I sort of, oh, we'll just walk over here. And at this point, Marley's really like, what is, like, the food's going on over there? I said, we'll go there. I drag her over through a tree, and in my head, all week, I've been running over what I was going to say.
So sweet.
You know, like, we went for one of our first dates, was walking Central Park in New York, and I was like, I brought you to a park because I knew since we were in the park in New York that I would one day want to ask you this, blah, 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 and I love you, blah, 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 will you marry me? And as soon as I go to speak, you mustn't tell anybody this. As soon as I go to speak, I couldn't. I was shaking. I was like shaking. And Marley will tell you, like, I never get nervous about anything. Like being on the Rake podcast, a little bit of nerves, of course, naturally. But normally I'm pretty together. Like if I'm doing commentary, like EPT, whatever it is, I'm like, whatever, what will be, will be. But I couldn't talk. And I just started shaking and then crying, by the way. Like,
no.
And then I was just like, I love you, and like I'm just gonna say it. And then she's like, are you joking? But then once I'm on the and pull the ring out and my hand is like trembling, she realized it wasn't a joke, and that was that, wasn't it? By the way, she was just like, of course I'm, yeah, sure, like what, yeah, of course I will, like, and like like barely a reaction. She was like, it doesn't change anything because like we already knew that's what we wanted to do. And so she's very matter of fact. I'm there. Mm-hmm. I was crying for about 15 minutes. Not crying, but like, I was emotional.
Yeah, a couple tears.
Yeah.
And Marley was just like, yeah, cheers, thanks.
No, Marley are similar in that way. Like when Chris and I adopted Crouton, we were like dating for a year and a half. And I was like, well, that to me was a really big decision. I feel like that's a bigger decision than like, hey, do you think you want to get married? Because I'm like, this dog is hopefully going to live 15 years and I'm never leaving this dog. So I don't know. So like I don't know, engagement and stuff is cool, but I feel like decisions like that you make along the way, or like moving to a new place, you basically commit to the term of the lease. You're not planning to like leave each other during that. So like those little steps along the way make it so you kind of like it gives it away that you're like, yeah, I'm committing to you for this for a year or 15 years of the dog or whatever, you know?
Yeah. And I mean, obviously given the nature of a long distance relationship, very early on, you already like, we're not doing this for a laugh. Like you don't get into a long distance relationship with someone just for like
casual,
just a casual relationship. Like, so from the very start, and especially, you know, during lockdown, we've been living together 8 months. It's like, you have these conversations, and it was kind of, we both knew that that's where it was going. And
we didn't talk about it. Like everybody I kind of knows that got engaged, my friends have got engaged. Like it's usually, I feel like at the point where it's like, okay, here's what I want, make it happen in 3 months. Like it's kind of like, know it's coming, kind of. And I had sent him some rings like a month ago, just as like half kidding, being like, la la la, like I like this.
Yeah, she's like, these are nice. And I, you know,
and he was like, on that. And he was like, what? And he totally threw me off the scent. So I thought like I was being too much, but I was very, very surprised. And like I feel like for me, because I didn't cry or anything, because I was just like, I kind of felt like nothing will change. I was like, well, the first thing I thought was I knew he must have been dying for like a week or two, as long as he had been planning it. And I was like, oh my God, you must have been so stressed this whole week just thinking about all this stuff. And he was like, yeah. And I was like, and he never wakes up early. He'd woken up early that morning, like, and was pacing around. And I was like, oh my God, he must have been so stressed. And all these things.
He's really keen to get this farmer's market.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
He's super excited about getting coffee. It's just stupid because, you know, Marley and I, we both know we love each other. Mm-hmm. And we've spoken about living together and our future together. But then in my head, when you go to propose, my head's still going, obviously she's just going to say like, you know, it's whatever, like too soon, or like, you know, like, no, like you run through all these like stupid scenarios that of course never going to happen.
Yeah.
Like, if there was really any doubt that was going to happen, don't propose. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, So I don't know. It's just a naturally nerve-wracking thing, I think.
Yeah.
It's very,
but it was
it's very vulnerable, isn't it?
It was great. I mean, and so I just texted a picture of my hand to my dad, and he was like, "What's that? Are you engaged?"
Marley takes a photo of her hand with the ring on her ring finger, on the ring finger, and Gary just what's that? So I'm reading that, having not asked him before, and I'm like, oh my god, he's like, he hates me. Like he's an angry man right now.
No,
but he's happy.
But I was telling him, it's like I feel like that's kind of when it hit me, because I don't know, I just kind of felt like I said, I think it's a good sign that I didn't really think it was a huge deal, because I was like, I already kind of knew he was committed to me. I already felt that. So to me, it was like, oh yeah, like I know you're committed to me. I feel like really, comfortable. But when my dad called me, because he obviously called me, and he was like, oh my god, like I could tell in his voice that this was like a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
And
it's a big deal though, getting married.
It is a big deal, yes. But that's when it kind of hit me like, whoa, this is like a big deal in terms of just like being an adult.
Yeah, that's really good though, because I think some people want, I don't want to put it all on girls, but it kind of is usually like a girl who's like, I want this kind of wedding and this kind of ring and this kind of whatever. And then like at a certain age, they're just like, okay, let's find the guy to plug into this dream I have. And I feel like that is not a healthy way to like decide to get married. But it's like, if it's not a big deal to you, you're so much better off, because it's just like, oh, cool, we'll have a big party with our friends and family. And like the relationship is the most important part, not the other stuff.
Yeah, of course. And really, whether it's...
Well, I don't want to get things twisted. I do really want a nice ring.
I ran a bluff in the Hot 22 final table 2 days ago, got snapped by SI, so like this ring value is diminishing quickly. And this one, by the way, this
tweet.
Because but first of all, let's go.
We'll put this tweet up.
It's election night, right? So let's do as we're recording, let's do fact check. Let's get some fact check, right? I put a tweet out that I was minus $7,000 because I had a rough week playing poker, as you do. Mm-hmm. Deliberately didn't post a full month graph where I was like up 12, down 7 for a net win of $5,000 on the month. Okay, let's like clear that up first and foremost. So me being down 7K, she then tweets, "You're supposed to spend 3 months' salary. What can we get for minus 20K?"
I like that tweet. Yeah.
And then we have like a PokerStars ambassadors for like Team PokerStars or whatever chat, and the bloke who runs PokerStars Team Pro is sharing that in the tweet, like laughing, my big announcement. And, like all of them were like, "This tweet from Marle's hilarious," and like laughing at me. It's like anyone else gets congratulated, I just get abused. Did
you like my tweet?
No.
Yeah, I said congrats Spraggy, and then are you sure, Marley?
They're not just be kind words for one day. Shame on you.
Yeah.
I congratulate you guys when you adopted Olaf.
I know. That is a big getting a cat.
That's as good as I am. Like that's as good as I can do, with the heartfeltness. It has to do with animals, not people. I'm sorry.
It's fair. It's absolutely fair enough. And Olaf is he's a big commitment, isn't he?
Yeah.
Because he's a bad cat. And I don't want that. I love him. I will always care for him and cherish him. And, I love him with all my heart, but he's just a bad, bad cat. He's fragile. He's like, he doesn't like being pet. He doesn't like spending time with humans. He's not aggressive, but he's just like, if he wants food, he's your best friend. And then as soon as he's eaten, he's completely indifferent. And I know cats are indifferent in general, but like,
oh, dude, I'm the same way.
Yeah.
Chauncey's more like wants to be around people all the time, whereas Lafa is just.
And of course, now with the plans that we have, they're going to be brothers together, and we'll see how that goes, won't we?
Yeah.
We'll see how that
goes. My God, that's going to be crazy. I feel like there's a good chance Chauncey just attacks Olaf like he's one of the mice and birds that get dragged in headless.
Olaf is he's a coward. Olaf is a coward because he'll go outside and then run back in 5 minutes later with a big bushy tail because he's seen another cat. Whereas Chauncey, it's like, Chauncey's massive as well, isn't he? Chauncey's like been like gym for 3 years every day, and he's got massive shoulders, like a big neck on him. And I don't like Olaf's chances, but I don't know, hopefully they get on. We'll see.
I'm kind of nervous about it, but
no. What Marley is as well. She says she thinks that they speak a different language
Yeah.
because Chauncey is an American cat and Olaf's an English cat. So will they be able to communicate?
Yeah,
with
the accent. I feel like even if they both speak English, the accent is going to be too much to overcome. And, you know, it's kind of like when I listen to you, I'm like, what the hell is Spraggy saying? I actually have subtitles, you know, going on under my screen right now.
Mary Poppins or something like that.
One thing I want to ask Marley about, because I thought it was so funny, you said on Instagram you lost 50 followers after they found out you were engaged. I feel like that's a little sad for those people, but also it's very sweet. They think it's going to last.
That's actually true. It's actually a vote of confidence. It is. Yeah, but I mean, I don't know what they were hoping for.
I do.
Well, we're dating. It's not like I've been single, so it's like they must have not thought it was serious until now.
Well, I don't think anybody, for the duration of our relationship, has really thought that it was serious.
Or real.
Or real, you know, even for a long time. I mean, David Tuchman was on a poker live stream and said, it was one of the first things when we first said that we were together, and David Tuchman was like, oh, I thought that was a joke. Like, legitimately, like, me and Marley, like, trolling that we were together. Even when
That's amazing.
Mexico, we're down in Mexico for her birthday, and people were like, this is a wind-up, right? Like, what commitment that would have been. And I think to this day, those people, first and foremost, if you're following someone on Instagram because you're holding out some sort of hope that they're going to marry you, like, you need to get a grip of your life. Like, you that's kind of out of control.
Clearly, Marley didn't tell you what I said then. I said I unfollowed Spraggy for the same reason, heartbroken.
Thank you very much. And I lost I lost
No way.
from my 0.6% female following. So I don't know, maybe they still think it won't last. They're holding out hope. I don't know what it is. Yeah, I think over 100 you lost, didn't you?
Yeah.
Gone.
So yeah, but yeah, we're happy.
In all seriousness, we are very happy together, and I do love you.
Yeah.
And yeah, here's to many more guest appearances on the Rake.
For sure. But yeah, so we're gonna be in Dublin for another like 2.5 weeks, and then
Marley back home for Thanksgiving.
Yeah,
and then take it from there, I guess.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So that opens up the whole world to you though, Marley. That's great, because just in case we're still locked out of the rest of the country, you'll get to move, right? At least.
Well, yeah, for sure. It gives us both some wiggle room.
Yeah, there's a whole process. Obviously, it's like you have to apply for certain visas and fiancé visas and marriage visas and spousal visas after a certain amount of time, rights to remain and things like that. But again, we knew that going in, and I'm sure it's going to be a pain in the ass. Like, it's certain things we have to, do, and paperwork that we're going to have to do. But it is what it is. It's better than the alternative. Like, it's what we want. So
yeah,
we'll do it. We'll do it.
Yeah. So you guys have also been like a welcome distraction to this week, which is just a dumpster fire in the US anyway. Just total dumpster fire. Everything, every news channel, everything is just the presidential election. And then on top of that, in our little poker community, the Doug D-Negs battle starts the day after. And I have money on it, and I obviously have some rooting interest besides just money. So it's nice. I was like, oh, good, some positive news to just think about something else. Even if it's just for a day. I don't know. What are your thoughts?
Well, for those of you who are watching, this is we're filming this on election night. So when this is out,
who knows what's happened?
So who knows when this comes out? President, but we don't know it yet.
There might not even be. You may not even be able to watch this. Who knows? Who knows what's gonna go down? But no. Do you know what? As a I guess nobody's really an outsider. It feels weird to say, as an outsider to American politics. But I don't think anybody is at this point, and it's such a sort of globalized world we live in, isn't it? It just sort of affects everybody, and even over here, it's inescapable that every conversation, everything that happens, and certainly as a streamer, you see it where you can't go a day in the chat without, especially at the moment, it's like Trump, dominating conversations, and if for no other reason than that, I'm sort of rooting. Obviously, I also have money on Joe Biden to win, so. For no other reason, I'm just bored of hearing about it. I'm just bored. I want to go back to life. I want to go back to, and obviously COVID is
you want
still
them
a
to start
thing.
criticizing your play again.
Yeah,
That's
like
what I'm
tell me I've like got it all in bad, or I punted off my stack, or I'm a pathetic loser in front of the computer all day, or something.
That's better.
I'm just bored of reading and hearing and listening about Donald Trump, as I'm sure it's kind of inescapable because and from a content perspective, and of course like this podcast as the most obvious example, it's really hard because these things are really important, and it is a little bit tone deaf to not address it. But at the same time, I don't want to be the guy that's like, oh, I'll go watch Spraggy play cards, and it's all Trump, 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 Trump.
Yeah.
There's a balance between. That's why I want. I think moving away from this incredibly divided political landscape. Hopefully, I actually think that would happen if Biden wins. That there's probably going to be a little bit of a whine and a tumultuous time, but I would hope that that's the beginning of the end of this sort of divisiveness, whichever way you look at it, because it's not healthy for anyone. Even if you're a Trump voter, it's not good for a country to be so at odds with itself. Regardless.
Yeah, it'll be nice if it's boring. Like if Biden wins and people go back to being kind of bored of politics, which is the norm before the last 4 or 5 years, and then not talking about it as much, like all our Twitter jokes won't revolve around it. And it's just like, even if the country is still divided, it won't be at the forefront of your mind every day to just be like, I got to get on Twitter and like knock down Trump or Biden or whatever. It's like people won't think about it or talk about it as much. So like your differences won't be like highlighted every conversation you have. And I feel like that would be valuable. I think though that for the next few months, it's going to suck way worse. Like I think it's going to be the only thing people talk about for a while, and we're just going to have to live with it.
Yeah, I mean, I think obviously it depends very much on the outcome of the election. If it's a landslide for Biden, as this will be the clip that they play back when the results come out. But it's looking like that could be the case. Then I think the last thing really anyone wants is for it to get dragged through courts and be like super close and contested, and like we have no real answer within the next couple of days. But we'll see. More importantly, who have you got for? Next, Doug Polk.
I'm like bankroll on the table, Doug Polk. Like I am financially ruined. I'm that little like meme, like I may never financially recover from this on Doug Polk. So just knowing him really well, like I used to write jokes for him and stuff, and like we talk, and like I know what his preparation has been like. I know what his drive and determination is like. It's like disgusting. Like when he wants to get good at something, it makes me feel bad about myself. Like I'm like, oh, I studied poker 2 hours today. He's like, child's play. I don't even sleep. That kind of thing. So I feel really good about his chances. Also, I've seen Daniel overestimate his ability to like rise to the top in poker. That's actually what started their feud, is that Daniel had said something along the lines of like, oh, I could beat this limit of 6 max cash on stars in 2 weeks if I wanted to. Meanwhile, Doug's friends with all like the best players in the world at the time, and they're like, they live and breathe this. Like they start out with a very high intelligence, and then they work on it every day of their lives. And some guy just comes out and is like, I could beat those guys. Like that's what started their whole feud. So knowing that background, I think there's a really good chance that Daniel is overestimating his ability to get to Doug's level in time. But actually like the betting line at 4-ish to 1 is probably fair, just knowing the variance involved in heads up, and the fact that I'm sure Daniel did get very good. He's not going to come in and be a fish and not know sizings and stuff like that. But I don't know. What are your thoughts?
Well, I mean, of course, as much as Daniel is preparing well, and I'm sure, and judging from some of his tweets, there certainly seems to be kind of a humbleness about his approach to strategy that perhaps, I'm not saying wasn't there before. Like you say, when he said about, I remember that was a few years ago, he said, I think he could beat whatever Zoom cash game, or was it 500 stars or something, which is a notoriously tough game. But even if Daniel is studying really hard and sort of has a newfound appreciation, which he seems to, for what goes into being a good winning online regular, he's still starting way, way further back than Doug is. And, if both of them are working really hard right now, and Doug already has a pretty significant lead in skill, which everybody accepts he does, of course, because, Doug was, back when I used to play Heads Up No Limit, like Doug was the guy. Like Doug was number one guy, and there were very few people who would willingly give Doug action for a long time. So I respect Daniel in the sense of going into the, taking the match on, because I do think that a match like that is good for poker. It's kind of what everybody wanted to see, because there's only so long that sparring words and sparring on Twitter can be fun and entertaining before it's like, all right, like play or don't, or, like I hate to draw this comparison because obviously it's a lot less serious, but Trump Biden is like, you got to draw a line at some point of like, let's have a heads up match. And, hopefully like that's that. I don't think it's actually
a peaceful transfer, a peaceful exit.
Yeah.
Well, neither of them took I don't think I actually put it on Twitter. I was like trying to go Doug into saying like whoever wins, maybe they set a limit where it's like if someone wins by like 20 buy-ins, the other person can never tweet again. I was really angling for that because I was like, please improve all of our Twitter experience. But that wasn't part of the challenge.
I think mine's somewhere of like really good and entertaining for poker. Like, and I'm one for like I love this stuff. Like some sort of like, heads up sort of feud and sort of a lot on it, and it's something to swear, and people are in this camp, people are in that camp. But
it's great. Yeah.
There's there's a line where it can get like, I think perhaps for some people that line is now crossed, where it's like they're kind of over it a little bit, like with some of the recent Twitter stuff where people are like, let's just play cards now. But yeah, I mean, I'm all for it. I'm all for it, and hopefully, again, this is the sort of thing where it's the line gets drawn at the end of the match. They've had the match, differences aside, agree to disagree, and we don't have to have this.
I wonder if that's going to happen, or if it's just going to be like a little more fuel to the fire.
That's the thing. It might, and if it does, and it's in whatever reasonable spirits, and whatever comes out of it, and maybe we get more heads-up matches between people, or maybe Daniel gets an appetite for it, and maybe Doug gets an appetite for being back and playing heads-up battles like this, and it does really well on Poker Go, for example. Then how is this not great for poker? Because I like those meaningful heads-up adversarial.
The real hate is what drives this, right? I don't like the bullshit like wrestling type of rivalries where we're like, hey Spraggy, how about you be the bad guy and I'll be the good guy and we'll have a fight and everyone's gonna buy it. And it's like, no, we won't. This hatred is so real and so palpable that this match is gonna be fun to watch. And it's between like two world-class players. So like you're gonna get good poker and real hatred. That was sort of the case when it was Dentali and Kate Hall as well. When they did that thing with Poker Night, I was like, both of them, neither of them really played too much heads up, so you're not going to get like world-class heads up play, but they hated each other so much. There was nothing fake about that at all. And it was incredibly entertaining to watch. So I think this has like the best of both worlds where we're going to get like good quality poker, great entertainment. Kane Callis is commentating. It should be really good. I don't know. I think these are really great because I used to make fun of the guys when I first started playing poker and there was all these fake heads up for rolls bets. Yeah, I'm going to get you and we're going to play and you're going to be so broke you'll be living in your mom's basement. And then it's like a month of shit talking later and crickets. Like no one ever played. So this is kind of cool that like potentially a couple $1 million is at stake here. And yeah, and I don't know. I'm excited. I think it'll be really fun to watch.
Yeah, I mean,
it comes out. It will be out. I think just tomorrow. So it will be out. So if you guys want to watch it on Poker Go, we're gonna play it.
I think it's free as well, isn't it? It's
yeah. That was actually Doug said that was one of his terms for working with Poker Go is that he wanted it to be free the first couple hundred hands. And then I think they're going to stream on YouTube and Twitch. At least that was Doug's. I think he might stream on the Upswing channel or something, get some promotion in there. But it'll be cool to be able to see. But I think the only whole cards up is the Poker Go live stuff. And I think the rest is going to be whole cards down, which is a little sad for me. I don't know how to play heads up. I play 40 big blind heads up. That's the only thing I've studied because of tournaments. So I'm going to be lost. I'm just going to be like, I hope the money goes to Doug. Like it's kind of tough in the whole cards.
No Limit is such a fun game to watch with cards up. The problem with cards down heads up is so often it's just like nothing versus nothing. So it can kind of get into sort of a repetitive, especially if Doug is just like bulldozing Daniel to an extent, like, and not being able to see what he's doing it with. It's going to be a little bit whatever. But I mean, I suppose those are the conditions of the match taking place. So we just got to be grateful that we have that content. And I think that's great. No, that's great poker content. And that's the essence of what we should be putting out on Twitch and YouTube is stuff that's just fun and stuff that's easy to watch. And it's very easy for someone who maybe has a passing interest in poker or, not much interest in poker at all, of just like, hey, this guy hates this guy, and they're going to play 1v1, right? Because it's a little different to even if they're in a tournament together or like, in any tournament, there's not a clear adversarial situation where you're rooting for one person over the other. And you have that with Heads Up No Limit. It's a very, very pure form of the game. And I often say this about content on live streams. If you think about gaming, and you have a game like League of Legends or Dota 2 that's really, really, really complex and hard to understand, it's very hard to follow it. Whereas if you have a game like Counter-Strike that, Doug, I know, plays a lot of Counter-Strike anyway, but it's very easy to understand. Someone picks up the gun and then they have to kill the other guy, and that's it. With all these games, spells and effects going off, and this does this, this, this. Heads Up is kind of like that for poker. Whereas in a tournament, you might have like ICM in play, and it's like, oh, well, why has he followed that? Because, oh, well, this guy over here is short and they're doing this. And it's like, well, I can't follow that. Heads Up No Limit is like, that guy is going to beat that guy by either getting him to fold or getting him to put it in with the worst, right? So I think this is a very, very good opportunity to expose the game to a more casual audience. And I think those two are actually the perfect candidates to do it.
We interrupt this podcast with an important message from our sponsors at Run It Once. Start playing on Run It Once Poker today and join the action in our popular leaderboard program. This week, we're giving away over 10,000 euro in cash prizes across 3 daily no-limit hold'em leaderboards, 3 daily pot limit Omaha leaderboards, and 1 weekly 200 PLO leaderboard. Plus, we're adding extra sit-and-go tickets to all of our daily leaderboard prizes. For full details, head to once.run/dailyboards. And if you want to brush up on your poker skills to improve your chances of snagging that bonus, head on over to Run It Once Training, where you'll find the largest library of high-quality poker training content on the web, with 2 new videos posted daily produced by an impressive roster of some of the greatest minds in the game, including Run It Once founder Phil Galfond. Sign up today at once.run/learn and you'll get free access to 3 of our elite level videos. And now, back to the pod.
Yeah, and then we have the other side of the coin. The Galfond challenge has been fun to watch, and it's been like wholesome family content where we're watching like a nice guy beat another nice guy and be like, I'm so sorry, you were up $1 million and then you lost. Like, I know how that feels. That's like Galfond. Like Galfond playing Chance too. Like Chance does his little needling and stuff, but it's so good natured. There's a place for that as well. I enjoy watching that too, but I am also looking forward to a bloodbath and a lot of like actual hatred. So I don't know, we contain multitudes, I guess.
Gonna do a grudge match, you beat Tonka.
Oh, that would be fun.
We actually played before in VR, and I beat him with the headsets on, which is a lot of fun. And watching that on Twitch or YouTube, it's not. I don't think it's very good for those platforms because it looks rubbish. Because it's designed to be viewed through the headset, and when you have that on, it's amazing. But then I made the mistake of playing him for real money. When it actually counts, and he played properly and he just smashed me. So
wow, he was sandbagging you? That's amazing.
I beat him play money in VR, and then he's like, you want to feel 1-2 on stream? I'm like, yeah, absolutely. I've seen you play. And then I lost like 5 points in the session. I was like, all right, I've had my fun. I am semi-retired from Heads Up. Do you know what? It is actually very sad that Heads Up isn't really a thing anymore, and very understandably. And I'm no angel here. I'm not painting myself as an angel, but it's a very easily game selected environment. So it's very, very hard to run a poker room and offer Heads Up No Limit. Just because. Oh yeah,
because the rake would be like if you're playing live, the last refuge of like the break-even-ish poker pros is live poker, where you're like, okay, I can at least go beat that. But really, if you're playing Heads Up online, you find that you can't beat any of the lobbies and you're just getting crushed. There's nothing you can do because like if you go to a live casino, they're gonna have to charge you such high rake to play Heads Up, to tie up a dealer and a table to play. So you really can't do anything if you start losing Heads Up online, right?
Yeah, and I mean, from a site's perspective, it was just like, a deposit comes in, it's very easy to lose at Heads Up. And so deposit comes in, it gets raked in like 3 pots, and it goes into a regular's pocket, right? So I think most sites, certainly that's when I was playing heads up back in the day. Almost all of them just took out heads up tables just because of the nature of the environment, and it's it's a shame because it's a great game. And on PokerStars, there's Zoom now, which kind of stops that because you can't pick an opponent. You go into the pool, you play one hand, you get moved along. But to me, that's not really the same, like the pure form of heads up, because a pure form of heads up is like, okay, we just played 5 hands against each other and you 3-bet me every hand, so now the 6th hand, there's something there. Whereas in Zoom, it's like, it's just
game flow is not a thing anymore.
But it's just a difficult one. But that's why we need sort of, I guess, grudge matches like this to heads up without the predatory nature of it.
Yeah.
I want to say credit to WSOP.com too, because I'm in a chat with Doug and he was like, okay, we just have to get those rake free tables. I'm like, good luck. Like, that's how I thought. Cause I was like, I know WSOP, like sometimes they don't see the value in getting all these eyes onto their site. Like there's been other opportunities for them to do a lot of advertising and they didn't take it. So when he's like, oh, we're just gonna get these rake free tables, I was like, you are not, dude, but good luck. And then they just gave it to them. They're helping them deposit $1 million each. They're giving them rake free tables. And just accepting the free promotion that their site's going to get from it. And I was impressed with that. And then with Poker Go, making it free, not trying to lure a bunch of people in with this couple hundred hands of heads up the grudge match, like that's free as well. I think that's really cool for the poker community that we have a couple companies that are just like, okay, this is good advertising and like this is going to be fun. It's going to be accessible to people because even if they don't know poker very well, they will be able to see the personalities and the completely real hatred back and forth. And I don't know, it could get some people into the game and it is like a fun aspect of the game. We don't get to see that often.
For sure, that's really good. And, that's a lack of short-sightedness from the Poker Go. That's like, okay, we could probably make, small amount of money if we rate the tables, or we'll make more money on subscriptions if we just put it behind the paywall straight away. But as everybody knows, like me, even if I click something and a paywall pops up, like I'm done. Like I'm out. Like I would pay for this, but I think a lot of people who like I only would pay for it because I know and I've been following it. If you're just casually getting into it and then you click and it's like pay now, it's like negative.
Same.
Shamefully, I'm like that with articles, even ones I really want to read. I just get like, I'm so mad. And I'm like, this is, especially when it's something where it's like informational and would be helpful for like regular people. Like it'll be like coronavirus stats and what would work. And you click on it. New York Times is like, that'll be $10. I'm like, what? Like you want us to die in a pandemic? That stuff makes me really mad.
It's so frustrating. That happened to me recently. I actually needed to just get a screenshot of an article for this video or for something I was making. And it was like threw it behind a paywall to read the article. And I was so mad. So I like made an account with the free trial. And I was like, I'll get the free trial. I'll get the screenshot and then I'll get out. And then I couldn't delete my account, of course. And like, it just kept making it hard on me. And I was,
that's how they get you. I think I'm paying for like CBS All Access, whatever it is, $6 a month for all eternity, because I was like, I'm just gonna watch what was it? It might have been Game of Thrones or something. I was like, I'm just gonna watch this and I cancel it, and then I just see it recurring on my bills every month. I'm like, damn it! I probably paid $200 for a Game of Thrones episode at this point.
At the risk of upsetting our,
I was actually just thinking.
At the risk of upsetting our podcast host here, the one recurring sponsorship that I have that by my own fault, is Run It Once Pro subscription, because Marley said that she was watching a video, Sam Greenwood video, and she was like trying to like dissect it and find out what was going on. And she was like, watch it. I was like, I don't have an account, so I'll make an account. So
he's so lazy. It's funny because like we get an account for doing this, and then I have another before, so I have 2 accounts. So like. You know what I mean? Like I could have easily just showed it, but he's like, no. Like he was too lazy.
No. I wanted to, like if I'm taking like as a content creator.
Yeah. So
hi, Mr. Galfond. I pay.
Honest man here.
I pay for the account, right?
That's great. Yeah.
And there is obviously a lot of great content. And actually, when people ask me on stream, like in terms of training content, I genuinely recommend Run It Once training because we're not in any way affiliated or whatever, because it's genuinely great stuff on there. But that's one of those where I almost feel better keeping the subscription, because in my mind, I'm making an effort to study. I feel better about myself. Whoa,
It's like a gym membership.
Yeah, it's like a gym membership.
Yep, exactly.
But like, occasionally I'll.
Oh, I'm going.
Yeah, as long as
Yeah.
I Run It Once subscription.
Which, by the way, I use my Run It Once subscription all the time.
She does. She genuinely watches a heap of videos.
So yeah, but he has his, and he
I dabble.
he doesn't do as much as he should.
I dabble.
But it's okay.
By the way, Jamie, we've been engaged 2 days. She's already trying to change me. Do you see that? There, you see that shift?
Yep.
He doesn't do it as much as he should, and she's had a go at me for eating
Which, by the
donuts
way,
this
I
week.
have a little anecdote for you guys, a little story. So the other day, I noticed something Spraggy was doing a leak that he had, and I told him to fix it. And he said, "That's not a thing. Where'd you see that?" And I said, "A video on Run It Once, divorce, made this video about this thing, whatever." And he was like, "That's not real. Like, that's not a thing, whatever." He was like, "That's not a thing." I said, "I saw Divorce do it, Run It Once, shout out Danny Divorce." And a week later, he saw Fintan Hand do it. And then he texted me, "Oh yeah, I just saw Fintan do it. I guess you're right." Didn't take my word for it. Thank you, Danny Divorce, Run It Once. Appreciate it.
There's another one fan here, by the way. It was funny actually. It was a sizing choice versus big blind when they're short, and Marley was doing it, and I wasn't doing it. She's like, "Oh, like maybe like is that not, you don't do this?" And I'm like, "I'm not sure that's a thing." And then I was watching Fintan stream, and he did it, and my mind, I was just like, it just came over. I've been wrong this whole time. But no, you do.
I say a lot of crazy things, so you're right to dismiss me, but I was right about that.
No, but a lot actually, an unreasonable amount of our time in bed is spent with the soothing words of Sam Greenwood and Daniel Divorce. They'll be pleased to know.
Yeah, they've often lower this sometimes.
They have, yeah.
Anyways, I wanted to just ask a little bit about how your stream's going, and you've been playing a bunch of games, streaming a lot of games. You've been streaming some with the Sidemen from YouTube, and
same old really, but going really well. It's kind of easy to, it's very grindy, and especially during lockdowns and things like that, and with all the series that have been played, I've just been streaming, and it's kind of, for me, it's like when something grows slowly over time and you're there every day, you don't really notice it. But I actually went back and looked at my viewership numbers from last year, and then compared them with this year, and I'm already like 3 or 4x ahead of where I was last year. So the channel is growing, and we've had some really great series on Twitch, with Lex breaking viewership record, and then Knossi, the German streamer, breaking viewership record, viewership records for poker. So yeah, I mean, Twitch and content like that, and working with the Sidemen recently, who have for those not familiar, one of the biggest YouTube channels in the UK, that they're doing millions and millions of hits,
making poker content now,
and they're doing some poker content with us and things like that. On a personal level, I would like to be able to make other content as well. And I've started streaming some, obviously Among Us is very popular at the moment, the werewolf imposter game, which is a lot of fun. But yeah, I mean, I think that sort of crossover content has always been where poker's greatest strength in marketing is.
Especially on Twitch. Like, I think that is a really nice, someone who maybe they catch your stream and you're playing Among Us with another, like a famous video gamer or something, like, and they're like, "Oh, I like Spraggy, he's funny, let me check out his channel." And all of a sudden the next day you're playing a poker tournament, you're deep in it, and you're like, you introduce them to poker. That's such an easy jump for someone to make who already likes playing games. I feel like that's so amazing for poker, if people can kind of cross over and jump back and forth. Maybe you make friends at the big video game or get them to play poker and stream poker, and all of a sudden you might reach thousands of people.
Yeah, and I think that we're actually seeing a lot of that at the moment. I mean, that's been the dream for a long time, of like, that was the whole point of sort of poker being on Twitch and trying to grow on Twitch, is that to, showcase it to a market of people who love gaming and, will devote hours to something to get good at something or to enjoy something, whatever. And I think we're really starting to see that now. I have so many people in my channel all the time who are like, I don't play poker. I stumbled across you because of these collaborations, or I started watching during the series because poker was popular at Twitch, and since I found it, I've stuck around. What's annoying and scary now is there are people who started watching myself and Fintan, for example. I've been streaming now, believe it or not, like 4 or 5 years. They started watching us when we were playing decent stakes, and doing okay, and they had never found poker, right? They're completely new to poker because of Twitch, and now they play higher than us. Now I see them playing the 1Ks, and I tag people like they're a friend of the stream. You know, if they say something, I put a little mark on them, and they say hi at the tables. And so many of those people now, I look on the high roller lobbies, and they're all in there, and they're all me. So, you know, that makes me feel bad that they didn't know about poker when I was, you know, still, and now they've all overtaken me. But, you know, that's great as well, that there are some people who have been able to make this a full-time thing. There are definitely people who, you know, come in and enjoy it. So I think more of that, more crossovers, and, you know, getting people who, here's the thing for poker content, especially on Twitch, it's an entertainment platform. So my head kind of despairs a little bit when I see, and there's definitely a market for it, an audience for it, when I see streamers streaming training content on Twitch, or like heavy Pio stuff on Twitch. And I get it, and whatever, like that's the thing, that's what they want to do, and there's going to be an audience for it. But to me, like, it's an entertainment platform, and watching 6 people who are awful at poker but have fun playing the game and have no idea what they're doing, they just make these like crazy bluffs and folds and calls, and to the point where it's like, what is going on here? That to me is more fun and entertaining and likely to engage people in poker than watching someone rake over sims. And I actually think, not in a sense of like we need to shut that stuff away and hide it, because I think that's, you know, equally as bad. And it's disingenuous to pretend that that stuff doesn't exist. But it's very, very intimidating. If you're a casual, hey, I play Magic on stream or Hearthstone, there's a poker category, or I've been watching chess, there's a poker category, I watch that. And then you go into the poker category and there's streamers there and they're like neck deep in HUDs and stats and sims.
Oh, that's not just intimidating to new casual players. Like, that's intimidating to people who are in mid stakes and they want to move up. Like, if I watch it and I feel like, okay, the only way to still win at poker is to grind solvers 40 hours a week, you're going to get people out of poker who are just, you know, they're semi-pro or whatever. It's like, I don't know. I feel like people who are at the top really overestimate the aspirations of like the average poker player. They say like, oh, you have to do this if you want. I'm like, all right, I'm not trying to play $1 million buy-in. Like, some people want to just be profitable at a 1500 WSOP. And I think like that, those people are usually overlooked, and they're like kind of pushed out of poker by people who are like, you have to be doing this to be profitable. And it's like, there's so many paths to being profitable in poker. We talked about it a little bit, but some people are happy playing 2-5 and 5-10 and avoiding a real job. And like, those people don't need to be 40 hours in solvers a week.
Well, I was gonna say too, I think that in regs especially, we don't want to see HUDs and stuff because we want to be entertained. Like, you know what I mean? Like, like a lot of people, like even, you know, Jason Somerville came out recently and said that you were one of his favorite streamers and stuff, and it's like, oh, that's nice. Yeah, it's so nice. But like, you know, someone like him, I'm sure he's not tuning in to really like crunch the numbers and like get better. He wants to entertain. He wants to, you know, he's not playing so much anymore. Maybe he wants to just, you know, kind of like, you know, re-immerse himself for a little bit. But I think it's such a fine line of striking. I think you fall in love with the person, not so much what they can offer you.
Oh, Somerville was the best at that too, because he was giving good strategy advice when it would come up randomly. And like, I've commentated with him where we are just talking strategy. It's not a fun stream. It's a final table, like we did a Sydney, Australia stream. That was just talking poker, and he has his little jokes here and there, but you know, he knows the time and place to use them. When it was his stream, he was a huge personality who was really fun and who knew how to play well. So he's making the right decisions, but the purpose of his stream wasn't to be like, look how smart and good I am at poker. It was always like, he has these little fun things he does, and he like engages really well with the Twitch chat, and he had a massive following that he built from the ground up. And I think he's a really good model to follow. And that's a huge compliment. I would be so happy if like Somerville was like, oh, you're my favorite streamer. It means you're doing everything right that he kind of established as like the way to grow poker on Twitch.
Yeah, and it's just, I think we have a very weird, as poker players, we live in this sort of poker bubble. And I think we have this very, very weird view of poker, coming back to what you said, Jamie, about you have to do this, you have to do that. Don't do that. And poker players think that every single person who plays poker wants to win at the game, wants to become the best at the game, wants to make optimal decisions all the time. The vast majority of people who pick up poker don't care really if they win or lose. You know, they would like to win, and you know, they don't want to like just get beaten really quickly. But for a lot of people, they just play because they enjoy the game. And, you know, they write X amount of money off a month. It's like, you know, that's my budget to play poker. And if they don't win, they don't win. And they don't want to know strategy. They want to. So we have to get away from this, like, when someone plays a hand in a certain way, it's like, you should never do that. It's like, well, hang on a minute.
Yeah.
They'll do what, like, people should be free to do what they want, you know? There's sort of this judgmental tone of if someone plays a hand in a certain way, it's like, well, you should never do that. And it's like, no, like, embrace it. It's so weird when I make a play on stream that I know, and I'm like giggling to myself. I'm like, I know this is stupid, but like, I want this guy to fold. I'm all in, whatever. And people, oh no, like, why would you do that? And it's like, we should not be having that approach that everybody needs to play perfectly all the time. We should be wanting people to blast off. We should be wanting people to have fun and like, oh, I ran a bluff, but it didn't work. And similarly, there's this notion that I get all the time because, you know, I'm fine at poker, but, you know, I don't watch enough Run It Once and I don't study enough. You know, if I play during a series, if I play like a tough 1K during the series on Stars, which is a tough game, I know that I'm not winning in that game against some of the lineups, right? But because of my stream and the position I'm in, I'm able to play that game. And there's a weird attitude from people watching sometimes. It's like, why would you play this? Like, you're not winning in this lineup. Like, you know, you're minus EV here or whatever. And it's, if I'm playing it, just be happy the fact that you're able to watch a higher stakes game. Like, would you rather watch me go and play the 22? Would you rather watch me play?
No, and also everyone has that attitude where they need to be playing perfectly all the time and always within their bankroll and only the games they could beat, everyone breaks even and goes home. Like, what a horrible game. It's not fun at all.
So, you know, just embrace people giving up EV, embrace people having fun with poker. Let's this sort of cage off of like, you're not allowed to play in that game unless you're definitely beating it. You can't play a hand that way because I'm going to like berate you for it, or like, oh, you're such a donk because you did that. It's like, it's a game. Let people enjoy it. You know, I think as poker players, we just, there's a very serious nature to everything that just needs to kind of.
Yeah, it's eye-opening to me when I talk to my mom. Oh, sorry.
The Sidemen video that I made, like, they've never played poker before. So like they barely know which beats which hand. So they're all just like shouting each other and shoving. And there's, you know, it was really well received because it's like, they have no idea what's going on, right? But even on my channel, there were some people like, wasn't it frustrating playing with them? It's like, no, it's the most fun playing poker I've had in years because it was like just about have a.
Yeah, when I talk to my mom plays a tiny bit of poker here and there, especially since there's been lockdown and stuff. Like, she's been getting back into it. I enjoy her perspective because sometimes it will be, hey, you'd be proud of me. I won this sit and go for $30, something like that. But the other side of the coin is I played a tournament and I lasted really long. And that's the thing. Like, it'll be, I lasted an hour and a half. And I'm like, oh, did you cash? No. But she's like proud of having played a long time and for it to have taken longer to lose the money. I play in an app game for decent money where there are people who have a certain limit each week that they're willing to play with as entertainment. And they're happy to be playing at the end of the week still. Like, that is some people's perspective, especially people who are really smart and have really good jobs. And this is their entertainment money. And it's just, yeah, if I lose $2,000, I'm done for the week. If I'm still playing on Friday, it means I played good this week. Like, that's how it is. And I just think that, yeah, you're right about that there's like a big segment of the poker playing world that we don't have a finger on the pulse of because we know mostly pros at this point. When you stay in it long enough, most of the people you talk to are probably pros with similar perspectives. And yeah, I don't think that we do enough to access those people or to make them feel comfortable. I know I've been made to feel stupid. Like, when I was still a lawyer, there were times where it's just like, oh my God, what did she turn over? And I'm just like, this is for fun for me. Like, I would like to win. I'm trying to get better. But in the meantime, I'm trying to get a pro to fold a hand they shouldn't fold. Because to me, that was like really fun to just be like, haha, bluff. That was like a big fun part of the game. I don't know. I think Twitch is a good way to reach out to those people who like, they want to play for fun. They like, most people play video games, they play for fun. They see value in that. They're not printing money playing video games. They still do it hours a week.
Yeah.
Well, you know, it's funny as well because having started playing some video games recently on stream, I'm terrible at video games and I'm playing Valorant at the moment, which is kind of similar to Counter-Strike. But it's not just a poker-specific problem because I play Valorant and I say on stream, hey, I've never played this game really, but me and Lex, we're going to have some fun and we're just going to shoot our guns and whatever. But immediately you'll get people in the chat who are oh, you shouldn't be using that gun, or like, oh, you like you peeked the corner like that. There's no way, and it's like, let me join the game. I'll carry you, and that's very, very off-putting because immediately, I don't want to play this game at a professional level. I'm just running around with my friend, throwing grenades at people, and like I die, and then I just kill someone, having fun, and it's like you're kind of taking the fun out of it for me. If you're like, well, this is actually how you should do
for
it.
everybody.
And,
It's solved and you're wrong. Yeah.
What's it, you know?
Like I said before, it comes back to people who cheat at video games. Like that is the most insane thing to me because it's like that just shows you that all they care about is like the result, getting to the finish line, figuring it out, not the process of enjoyment.
Yeah,
you know?
that's it. It's
so
like,
crazy. And there's no money involved.
I don't care if I win or lose, and you know, it's a bizarre attitude to have for me. But it's definitely a bad one for poker. And similarly, talking about like recreational players is, you know, the emergence of something like the Bounty Builder tournament or PKOs. And a lot of regulars, we get caught in this bubble of like, well, I don't like Bounty Builders or I don't like PKOs, and I prefer just a freeze out tournament. And unfortunately, I mean, I happen to quite like Bounty Builders because, you know, for whatever reason, maybe it just plays into the degenerate in me. But, you know, there are a lot of people who don't. But for a poker ecosystem to exist, as regulars, we have to play games that people have fun playing. So if a bunch of people have fun playing a Bounty Builder, we can't, as regulars who make our living playing poker, say, no, you don't play that game. Like, you come and play this freeze out game and there's no bounties and, you know, it's like an old school poker tournament. That's what we like. It's a pure form of game. It's like, you have to kind of go where the recreationals go. You know, you have to go, like, formats are going to emerge that people find most enjoyable, kind of naturally, those prize pools. And you see it all over the internet now, where the Bounty Builder prize pools are just naturally bigger than the regular ones. And that's just because recreational players like them more. And there's very little you can do about that, because once that game exists and people are having fun playing it, you can't just say, well, we prefer you didn't play that, and come back to playing what we, you know, have this edge in, or we like.
Yeah.
Regulars don't get to choose, right? The casual player gets to choose, and then the regular has to adapt. Or
it's similar. Like, I play an app game where the money is significant to me, and I'm trying to, like, you know, I'm trying to do well and not gamble too much. But then when 3 people that I consider to be fun players all want to do a $100 bomb pot, we're like, okay, like, you're doing it. Or like the end of the night, they're stuck 300 and like $300 flip, I want to get even. I'm like, all right. There's things like that where you just go, okay, this is not part of my like professional poker playing plan to gamble for a bunch of money, but sometimes you just have to do it, and it's keeping people who are having fun still having fun even when they're losing. I think that's a really underrated part of the game.
And the super nosebleed game that I was playing in Vegas, they flip for the time I think they collect it every 3 dealers. So every hour and a half, we do a 5K flip. And
that's so vomited. God.
And I buy in for like 50K. So it's like, you know, you almost want to buy in if you win. It's so, and again,
that's insane.
It's just, you know, part of how it goes.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same with everything. You've got to give up a little bit. Nobody, it's the same thing. No one likes anyone who's just there to immediately squeeze EV. Which is why it makes it even more bizarre, this attitude of some people who want, it's my money that I'm playing with on stream or I'm gambling on stream. It's like, and you're worried that I'm giving up my EV. It's like when I was coming up in poker and I was watching people like playing in like on the rail on full tilt or something like that, like playing in games that they were getting smashed in, it's like, I don't care. Like, as long as that person's like in charge of their own, you know, money or whatever, I'm here to watch the bloodbath. Right?
Yeah, why are there so many nits in your chat?
Have at it, right? So it's weird. I know a lot of my audience just want to watch me get, you know, play the higher stakes, but some people are like, no. It's like, let me like take care of that. Like, just enjoy the show.
That's really funny, because like you would think the chat would just be like, gamble. If I'm in your chat, I'm just like, gamble, stop being a nit. Like, I used to like watching STICKYRICE. Do you remember that guy? Because he just would take 10K and send it on a ride and try to build it to 100K or 0. He would sometimes get to like 70K and then 0. And it was just like fun because he just was nuts.
Yeah, he was wild. And actually, you know, there were so many streamers like that back in the day. I think Twitch poker has evolved a little bit now, where it's probably more sanitized in a way. You know, everyone's kind of, I don't know, it's just, I guess it just evolves over time. But back in the day, it was a bit more of a Wild Wild West, and you had STICKYRICE and Maldron and Big Dog, Pocket Vibes, and incidents. And then, people like Tonka were on, and it was just a little bit more, I think, out of control. And I'm not saying that's necessarily a good or a bad thing. And I still think, Twitch poker is very, very fun today, but it's just a little bit different, isn't it? And I think that is partly because more and more people are kind of onto EV profitability and things like that, where they don't like it as much. Like, they don't like you punting as much. They don't like someone who's like, hey, I'm terrible at poker, but I'm just gonna have fun doing it. And it's weird to me, because the most entertaining content was always, STICKYRICE just sending it and doing whatever in games that we shouldn't be playing, and
dancing around and slow rolling. Like, yeah, it was great.
Let's do more of that. But it's just a different landscape today.
Oh.
What?
Aww.
I know these get edited.
So yeah, we're very happy you came on. Spraggy is not a big podcaster. I do want to plug. He didn't want to plug it, but I'm going to. He started a football podcast with FINTAN, talking about soccer.
Very niche audience. You're more than welcome to.
If you like, it's not a competitor. It's not poker, but it's just a podcast called For Only Schools and Four.
For Only Schools
and Fours.
Only Schools and Fours. It's called Only Fools and Scorers. And you're more than welcome to watch. It is to a UK and an Irish man talking Premier League football. So I'm not sure if there's much crossover audience, but if there is, check us out. I feel like I just rambled as well. Like, I feel like I don't know. Is there anything else you guys want to? I feel like I just.
No, this has been such a welcome distraction. Like, the world is going to be on fire for like a week. It's so like yesterday I played Mafia with friends on Zoom for like 8 hours just to avoid thinking about stuff that's out of our control. I don't want to think about the stuff that could happen and rioting and whatever, who knows. So it's just nice to talk for an hour about two people who are happy with the newly engaged status, and talking about just other stuff. I don't know. It was like a welcome break from real life for me.
Yeah.
Hope for our audience too.
When this comes out, we will know maybe who the next president will be.
And maybe some early results from the true 1v1, the Doug versus Daniel heads-up match, which we're all very excited for.
Yeah, should be fun. Yeah, congrats again, you guys. And yeah, thanks everyone for watching The Rake. We'll be back next week if we still have a world.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
See ya.